Hello, and welcome back to Therapist Plays Disco Elysium. In today's episode, we're getting into a unique opportunity for healing for Harry because we're going on a date with Lilienne. And this is a big moment for our character because there is a history of not really being able to trust people or allowing intimacy to be a part of a relationship. We've seen him kind of start to work this out with a relationship with Kim, and I think just learning that people can be kind to him despite all of the negative things he believes about himself is really important for him. So, this is a special moment for our character's development. There's a lot to talk about, so let's jump in. Hello, and welcome back. Okay. We're almost at the very end of day 3 here, and there's at least one thing I still want to do before we let Kim back in the party. We have learned that we are not responsible or safe without him. This has been a total disaster. The things we've gotten into and the trauma we've experienced, and the sheer ineptitude on display without Kim. Harry and Kim are great foil characters for one another, because foil characters are like when one character's personality and traits are different than another's, and you put them together, the contrast between them makes those differences more distinct, more visible. And they are so visible when he's not here. We're like bumbling, incompetent, insecure, terrified of ourselves, terrified of everyone else. Like, it's truly remarkable and narratively fitting because our character was really not sure about Kim at the start. It took some time for him to grow on us. Not me, okay? I've liked Kim just fine as myself, but my character has taken some time to adjust to him because of the difficulty trusting how genuine Kim is. We've learned that he is very genuine. And it's not uncommon for someone who has trust issues to, once they start to like be comfortable trusting someone, become like codependent on them. Because this is like the first outlet that our character has really had to visit the idea of trust with someone. And it's easy to kind of go overboard on that and like depend too much on them. So it's quite fitting that like what we've gotten up to has been basically a disaster without Kim. I think we are codependent on him at this stage. So let's see how this goes. I hope we can do this. I hope I don't need to like pass a check or something. Maybe do I have any clothes that could help me here? Maybe like, wasn't there some sort of check that I had to pass to get her to go on the date with
Aye,
me?
the sea's gonna calm down soon. I can feel it. The wind is turning southeast. What's on your mind, officer?
28%. My suggestion's so high, and yet we have such a slim chance. It's not good. Is there anything I can do to raise my suggestion? To make us more suggestive? Ah, look at the coat. Okay. A suggestive coat. And there's actually something I want to do before I ask her this. What I want to do is take another look at our ledger, because all of the stuff that's going on with Harry and like the idea of trust and romantic trust specifically, there is a point of trauma that has been not fully visited in this prior relationship. So I kind of want to dive into that to see what we're up against here. Let's pop that bad boy in our hands and open it up.
It's the ledger you found in the trash. A cabbage of papers hanging from the board, with the permeables drawer inside. It's barely held together by a clip, then made complete by the faint smell of urinal cleaner.
I think it was in the hidden compartment.
Without resistance or sound, the two panels move against each other. The compartment is now open. Inside, you see 2 ticket stubs and a handmade postcard.
I kind of can't remember. I'm pretty sure there was things we hadn't explored here. It's the only thing that's like not been clicked, but let's
2
just see.
octopuses are smiling, reaching their tentacles toward
Okay,
each
for a
other.
zoo.
You stare at the card, willing your hand to move. It refuses. It's too much. Not a game.
Let's try this. I don't even know what's gonna happen.
The words just crossed your mind somehow.
Who were they for?
Who do you think?
Me?
You.
Shit. Is that what we were told?
It's slightly, ever so slightly, difficult to breathe once you've done so. The drawer is locked. Blue ink drips from the white pages in your hand. Your hand shakes. You're flushed with adrenaline.
Oh, this was a great idea to do right before asking Lilienne out. I think there was a scent as
The
well.
acidic stench of rotting food has rubbed off on the cellulose. It now forms the base of the experience. This base, it's made of dark blue plastic, hard enough to beat someone to submission with. Something rattles inside, ever so permeables. It's not hidden per se. The compartment is made for permeable materials that would get damaged if something happened to it. The plastic shimmers like lapis lazuli, but it is not see-through. You cannot see to its center. With your hands, you 4-sized pages hang from the clip screwed to the top of the board.
So we've been in there though. There's nothing
Without
else.
resistance or sound, it's slightly. Your hand shakes. It takes about half an hour to piece one together, using the system you've devised. Which one do you want?
Okay, we don't have time for this.
Not much has changed in the meanwhile. A bunch of sodden papers still sags from the clipboard. An aluminium block. A bunch of sodden papers sag from the clipboard in your hand. It's made of dark blue plastic with your hand.
Okay, I thought there was something more to do there, but there really wasn't. I mean, we can carry it around because it does give us some empathy. Was there anything we pulled out of there that was worth reading? I feel like I'm missing something here. Because I know people have been like, hey, you should check out the ledger again, but we've kind of exhausted all the stuff in it at this point. So yeah, going into this, knowing that like so far we have found one person that we feel trusting to, that's Kim. And we have encountered one person that's Glacia, who has reminded us of the emotional wound attached to this prior relationship. So that's what we're going into this with, right? If you've ever been in a, disastrous relationship, you'll know that when you're trying to get into a new one, you can be pretty on guard. In some ways more towards yourself, like not trusting yourself to get too wrapped up in things than the other person. I feel like maybe not having the flashlight would be appropriate for this interaction. Okay.
Aye, the sea's gonna calm down soon. I can feel it. The wind is turning south.
Is there anything else we can do? I don't have any skill points. I don't have any more clothes that can give me suggestion. It's just stuff that can worsen it. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else. None of the items can give me any... Okay. What about my thought cabinet? Is any of this... Okay. All right, we're maxed out. Let's just do it. Let's go for it.
Calm down soon. I can feel it.
You think she really needs more of that after a man died at sea?
But what do I do then?
What if I told you it is actually possible to go on a date sober?
I'm listening.
Before recorded history, men and women were able to do simple, very primitive things together sober. Acknowledge the situation and keep it basic.
I'm a drunk, so don't know if you've noticed, so I usually ask people to drink with me.
I have, and I don't really.
This time though, thought I'd ask you for a walk. Yeah, let's be a little more smooth, okay? Lilienne, walk with
Just
me.
a walk? I don't know, officer. I would not have taken you for an innocent perambulator.
That's right. Please come to a sober walk with me. Is that a yes, ma'am? Is the walk happening? Sweet.
Where would this walk take us, officer?
Nothing creepy, strange, or out there. Keep it airy and simple.
There's a nice view on the beach I found. Land's End.
All right. I will walk with you. But you need to understand that nothing is going to happen. We're just walking.
Just a good old-fashioned walk. I like it.
Me too. It's been ages since I just had a normal conversation with one of you guys.
She means men.
All right, I'll go put the kids to bed and we'll meet at Land's End in 15 minutes.
She doesn't wait for an answer. You better get ready.
Okay. Now is the time to panic. Okay. We are overcome with a sudden rush of excitement and nervousness. So what do I imagine my character to be thinking right now? Well, the thing that I'm imagining he's fearing is obviously like the anticipation of rejection is always there. But I feel like part of what's difficult about Harry opening up to people or letting people see the side of himself that is more sincere, like you can see that even in that conversation, there's plenty of opportunities for us to like joke or disguise our emotions. He does this with like the political thing. Like he avoids being sincere because there is this fear that if I were to show you what's real about me, I don't know if you would judge me fairly. And I think that's kind of what we all feel when we wear certain masks, where we might try to be a little more social than we naturally are. We try to tell more jokes than we naturally do, or because we feel like it fits the environment. Like, I think that there's such an aversion to some of the most innocent parts of ourselves, the most sincere, to just say to someone, like, I've been hurt before and I'm scared of that happening again. Instead, we try to play it cool and act like nothing bothers us. Partially because if we were to show people what we really think and feel...
that would indicate a sniper used this place as a nest for taking the shot? Just some urban detritus, a bottle, and a
Not now!
comms tower.
Do not interrupt my date with murder investigation stuff. As I was saying, part of the reason we might obscure that stuff is because of the fear of not being judged fairly. That we'll be seen for who we are, and that might be taken more seriously than the facade that we show. Okay, we'll return to that subject. Let's respond here. A sniper used this place as a nest for taking the shot. Just maybe the assailant climbed the comms tower. Let's look over to the whirling in rags.
1.2 kilometers over the wave-crossed bay. Through heavy, dark grey curtains of rain, you see the smallest rectangle, barely visible. The light is off on the 3rd floor of the Whirling in Rags. The young woman is gone in Precinct 57. Safe, closed off, her form no longer moves behind the glass there.
Yes, that's right. Claudia is, I imagine this is talking about Claudia, safe in police custody, as far as we know. Maybe the assailant climbed the comms tower to take
The
a shot.
salty water has corroded the ladder to nothing but 2 thin orange rails. In addition, there is no stable nest up there. It would have been useless.
Yes, it has been spoiled for me that she is not safe, but I'm just gonna pretend I don't know that. Maybe the campfire was used by the perpetrator.
To warm his hands before he pulled the trigger? There are no markings on the ground for a tripod. He would have had to lie on a mattress. This is simply not a good spot for a 1.2 kilometer shot.
Okay. I guess he had to play with the idea first. Here she is. Okay. We're fearful of not being judged fairly. That if we show these sincere parts of ourselves, that this opens the door to rejection. Let's see how this goes.
The woman gazes steadily at the waves. A sudden gust picks up her dark hair and lets it fall again, tousled, wild. She brushes a few stray locks from her eyes, and only then spots you approaching.
Aye, so here you are. It's late and it's raining. Water is cold. Ice cold. Know that you're not the first guy to bring a girl to Land's End. This is what the locals call a make-out spot. That is not going to happen here today. I just want to make that clear, Dimples.
Dimples, that's sweet.
Her thoughts are still elsewhere, with distances across the water, and with the water itself. Across the rusty water, that's La Delta, the financial district. In the mist-covered distance, towers rise as a rebuke to the poverty of this coast.
You seem surprised that I made it.
Drinking men aren't known for keeping their appointments.
Again, I am going with what my character would I think that they would go with here. Not necessarily what I would go with here. I think that going along those lines, we would be in a similar way with Kim, sort of like testing out how sincere can I be with this person. So far, she has said yes to coming out here, and she's set up very clear boundaries with us, which is probably something we're not used to. Like, we're not doing anything here that probably instills a little bit of confidence with her that, you know, like, this is a safe interaction for Harry, like, so that he is also not like too compromised, let's say, to use the game's terms. I think he would say this. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Let's be a little sincere.
The world? Those big words men like to throw around as though they had weight.
Sincere, but also like a little unpracticed, like grandiose. Like kind of like that's kind of like the political thing. Like he knows this is what I probably should say.
Let's just admire this piece of the world we happen to have in front of us, eh?
She nods to you, a playful glint in her eyes.
Here it comes.
As she turns back to the sea, the weather begins to clear under her steady gaze.
So fast as to make it seem like the weather turns at her command.
Say nothing. It's stupid. A stupid idea.
Say nothing. Well, now there's silence. She's looking at the sea. You hear yourself breathing. You should say something. Anything. Maybe the tequila sunset thing.
I guess we can go with that. I feel like part of the reason why we might trust Lilienne is because she has the experience with people who've struggled with alcoholism, and potentially she feels like a safe person for him to explore the subject with. So let's say this.
It's a common Revacholian expression. Means drinking yourself to death.
Jeez.
So, are you going to keep the name?
I think I'm good with Harrier Dubois. This is a new model for me. I think I'm good with Harrier Dubois these days. Yeah.
Well then, Officer Dubois.
She nods to you, then turns to the sun. Let's see.
The remains of the dying sun are reflected in the waves and the skyscrapers rising across the bay. Your mind clears for a moment as your senses take it all in. Not just the glass skyscrapers, fragile looking in the shimmering air. River Esperance flowing into the bay.
Isn't it strange for this all-powerful thing, the sun, to be so generous towards us? You know, the best time to go out fishing is usually towards sunset, when the water is warmer.
The sun also falls on the Capeside tenements and war-torn ruins. An old sea fortress juts out, seemingly impervious to the sheen cast over everything else, shaking you out of your reverie.
Keep saying stuff, the sun. It's so beautiful.
The sun does little for the dead, and those hopelessly lost in their own minds.
Jeez, just so fucking negative, Inland Empire.
For people living in desert climates with sparse vegetation and little drinking water.
Man, way to ruin the positivity here. Logic and Inland Empire giving me real, actually, the sun is, and not everyone likes the sun everywhere all the time. Is that why you named your boat the sun?
Oh, that was a bit of pride and a bit of superstition.
I'm not sure desert people are happy with too much sunlight. Well, speaking as someone who lives in the fucking desert, I can sympathize.
Now you're just nitpicking. But I concede. Maybe desert people sometimes disagree.
Yeah, I got too much sun here. Let's just enjoy the view.
There's salt in the air, and the cries of the gulls and the skuas. Grit of the sand and the green glint of broken bottles. But still your gaze always returns to the dazzling streaks of light, wherever they may be reflected, their fading opulence.
It's bringing us spring, summer. It's entirely on our side, no matter what we do or who we are, for absolutely no reason. It's unlike no other powerful being, certainly no powerful organization or government. How can that be?
I just love her perspective, because she's able to tap into this like inner gratitude for things that in our modern complicated lives is very hard to tap into. Oh my god. I'm a little distracted by this comment here. There's an explanation to this, and it's political, you see. Begin a long, impassioned political tirade. Absolutely not. I think this is the most appropriate response. This is what's on our mind right now. When I say most appropriate response, I mean for Harry to say, based on what he said before. I don't think this. And this is a role play. I have to keep reminding people of that because I'll keep getting these comments that are like, why? I can't believe you chose that. Like, I'm choosing what I think my character thinks. Right now, his idea is that humans betray him, which I've been role-playing this idea the entire time, right? I had the suspicion, unfounded, that Kim was, maybe not as genuine to us as we thought. I have had suspicions about Everard Clare and Joyce, and the only people who we have not felt like have an agenda against us have been like the youth, like Kuno, Britta Girl, Acel. And I think that we can relate to what Lilienne is saying here, because part of Harry's issue with trust is the human element. That when there are human motivations and human agendas, they feel like you are always the first thing that will be compromised in someone's life. You will be compromised by, for their goals. You are not the most important thing to them in your relationships or in your work partnership or economically or whatever, right? And as soon as they don't have things to gain from you, they'll abandon you. That's probably like how he feels, genuinely, based on a lot of things we've seen from him. And so he has an inherent like resistance to trusting that humans are by their like good-natured at heart, I guess. Which is maybe why we've gravitated towards people like Lena, who seems quite good-natured, and her only agenda is one of like a creative passion. And we're compelled by those sorts of things, right? Like Acel's creative passion and Annette's creative passion for fiction and all those things. So it is pretty natural for us to like be a little wary to this sort of thing. Let's see how it goes. Humans betray you.
Do they? Some of them do, but sounds to me like you should choose your allies better, that's all.
Maybe some general remarks before you say something big. Work your way up to the cool.
Okay. We can't say anything cool about the sun just yet. Okay, let's start small. Let's just make an observation about her. There's an interesting lilt in your voice.
Thank you. I'm half Ubi. My mother was from Ubi Sunt. Not a lot of sun there, I hear, though I've never been.
The wind ruffles her hair as she looks at the setting sun.
You have fish hooks in your ears.
These aren't real fish hooks, silly. They're earrings shaped to look like fish hooks. A drunk called Rosemary brought them to me. I kept them.
Interesting what I said earlier, though. This fear of like not being judged fairly or being judged critically. Harry is saying these things, these observations, what seems like to me, to see like, what is her response? Like, she is endeared by these questions or these comments, not repulsed by them, not repulsed by like an observation about her appearance or by her voice or whatever, which is probably helping him work up, some confidence to say something more profound.
The wind ruffles her hair as she looks at the setting sun.
Do you want to go to visit La Delta?
It's enough that my fish goes there. 50 real a piece they ask for spring cod.
50 real. Who do you think killed the hanged man? I guess this will buy us some more time.
Good one. I'm gonna go with the rope.
She thinks it was a riddle. She must not even know of that business. Better that way.
Oh, thank goodness. Oh shit, that we were at 8% and now we're at 3. Yeah, that was not a good one. This is a red check. Fuck it. We're gonna go with it. I don't think it's possible for us to say anything cool right now. But this will be good because like I want to see him try and not do well and see what kind of reaction she gets. And if it is one that is comforting despite the silliness of our reply, then this is another thing that changes our narrative about like yeah, I mean people's general critical posture towards us.
Say what? Something interesting? Impossible.
I love this. I love how we're like pleading with our conceptualization. Please, I need to say something important.
She turns her head, and the plastic fishhooks rattle in her ears. Nothing shear-worthy takes place in your head. Relax.
Damn it.
This was still good.
Sometimes I feel like I don't have a good brain. I'm gonna say this.
Hi. Brains generally aren't very good, are they? I prefer backs, arms, shoulders, lungs too. You know, the wind's going to pick up soon, and I have to go, but
She takes the sword out of the scabbard. The blade shines in the gathering
have
dark.
this. The sun's
Wait,
good.
what?
It doesn't stick things. I've no use for it anymore.
Are you sure you don't need the sword?
No. Men around here are too drunk to pose a threat to me.
Think we can do this again sometime.
Doubt it. But thank you for the company.
This is as far as it goes with her. You'd need to put a year between you and your last drink for anything more.
That's appropriate. Thank you for coming on this walk with me.
Farewell.
This was sweet. Okay. And now I want to talk about why this is important for Harry, especially when we consider what he's been through. So one of the things that I'm often thinking about and working on with people when they have like a severe, like let's say relationship trauma like that, is those micro interactions with new people. They're affected by someone's core beliefs. Like a core belief has developed about whether I can succeed in relationships and whether people are trustworthy and whether I'm like valuable to anyone. My self-worth is all tied in this. Like those aren't core beliefs that we started off with. They are a response to some sort of tragic experience, like whatever we've gone through with our ex-partner, right? And we call these maladaptive beliefs, right? So mal, the prefix meaning bad, and adaptive, like an idea that we adapt to in a very negative way, right? So it's like a poison that infects your behaviors and your perceptions about things. And one of the types of therapy that we do to address these sorts of things is schema therapy. So schema therapy is about working on schemas. Schema comes from like schemata, schematic. It's basically a blueprint. You have a blueprint in your mind that says like, this is what this experience is about, right? And they can be really simple. Like in the United States, we might have a very simple schema about like fire trucks are red. They're generally red, right? And we develop that blueprint, that schemata for this idea so that we don't have to like, every time we think about a fire truck, recontextualize that information. We've sort of stored it away because it's a learned experience. When you say fire truck, I'm thinking of a red one. However, if I were to suddenly see a green fire truck, it wouldn't really make that much of a difference unless I started seeing them more and more regularly. And then I would go into this little box, this little blueprint of that idea and say, oh, this schema needs updating. Not all fire trucks are red. They can be green or whatever, right? And you go to a different country and they look totally different. So that's a really simple schema, right? Our schemas can be really complex though, because they can be subjective, right? I might have a schema that says dogs are man's best friend because that's the experience I might have had. I might have had positive interactions with them and they're friendly and whatever else, right? That's what my blueprint tells me. Someone else might have the blueprint that they're scary. Fucking. Now we're complete. Sorry. This is peak disco right here. Now that we can walk around with the sword. Equip this to impress yourself. Anyways, right? So you can have subjective schemas. My schema about dogs may be that they're scary and dangerous because maybe I was bit by one of them. The problem is that this may be a maladaptive schema because it will lead to other core beliefs attached to that, right? Now, when I see someone who has a dog off the leash, I may also think, oh, that person's irresponsible. How can they walk around with that beast, that scary animal? The person must be irresponsible and dangerous too. Like, my prejudice will extend to them. I may start avoiding places where people who take their dogs often frequent. Like, it's going to lead, this is a silly example, but a foundational schema about something can lead to these compensatory behaviors and different kinds of avoidance, right? And that's even for something really simple. When it happens with something significant, like all women are liars, right, is like something that I imagine my character thinking because of his traumatic experience and the experience with Colossia. Everyone abandons me. I'm no good. Like, I'm not a nice person to be around. Like, whatever. All of these like negative core beliefs that have developed are a response to the negative experiences that he's had, and they become very hard to unroot when that schema, that blueprint, is at the foundational level, because it contextualizes every interaction you have. And so it's very common for that presenting issue to come up in therapy, and someone says, oh, well, I'm having a hard time getting into relationships because I don't find people trustworthy. I think humans are there to betray you, right? I could attack that belief by itself and say, okay, well, let's work on that. Let's try to rationalize why that may not be true. But schema work is actually about, like, let's not worry too much about what that top level idea is. Let's try to go down the ladder to whatever the core belief is and address that. And the core belief at the bottom of something like that is often something close to, well, people betray me. Humans betray because they're selfish. So what you do is you basically keep asking the same kind of question, like, okay, let's say that's true. What does that mean about you? Let's say that people are selfish. What does that tell you about yourself? Well, it tells me that there's no one in my life I can truly trust. Okay, well, let's say that's true. What if there's no one in your life you can trust? What does that mean to you? It means I'm always going to be alone. Okay, what does that mean to you? It means I'm worthless, right? It means, like, I don't have anyone who I can be honest with myself. So, like, you'd work your way down to whatever the core belief is, because that's the foundational layer that all these other things are built up on. So if you can address the core belief, then the ones that are built on top of it start to crumble away. If you work on the core belief that, like, dogs are scary animals, and you find a way to adjust that schema, suddenly the other beliefs I have about, like, people who have dogs and the park and whatever else, like, they don't really fit anymore. It's like a Jenga tower of beliefs that can kind of crumble down. So I say all this because I feel like this interaction with Lilienne in some ways helped to unroot some of those very negatively defined schemas that Harry has about relationships and his self-worth and what value he has as a person. He's not getting his value from being socially affluent, that he needs to drink to be, like, social. He's not getting Lilienne's admiration due to his career or how many cases he's solved. He's not getting it for his appearance, certainly, right? He's getting it because he, like, just allowed himself to be human and vulnerable. And that has likely instilled in us a challenge to the core belief that vulnerability is a threat to you, that it leads to people taking advantage and confirms the idea that people are inherently untrustworthy, right? This new experience has the potential to like change that core schema and maybe start to change our ideas about like other people as well. We've now seen this with Kim and Lilienne. And we've had experiences that confirm negative schemas as well. I think like Kuno, the failure to help Kuno has given us that same feeling of like, man, maybe I'm not a good person or whatever. Maybe I can't help this person. So we're kind of a mixed bag. Like dealing with our core beliefs is a very in-depth process. Even learning what they are is pretty in-depth. But I feel like some of these experiences are helping. So schema therapy would definitely be something that I'd be interested to do with Mr. Dubois. I gotta say though, tell you what, a lot of that self-doubt has kind of been eliminated by having this fucking sword. It's just so badass. I mean, just look at the glow up that it affords us. It's bad. It's not badass because it's a sword, and that's just badass by itself. But like, it's badass because it's Lilienne's sword that she gave to us, that she trusted us with. The blade of this mass-produced saber has dulled over the years and won't slice or stab anyone. It still commands respect in your hand, however. Holding on to its bakelite hilt fills you with a sense of purpose and a memory of the date. Yes, this is something that can anchor us to that newly adjusted core belief about, you know, there is at least one person who we were able to be vulnerable with, and that did not end in shame or rejection or self-hatred. And it also didn't make us feel like we had to compensate by being like authoritative or aggressive or to show off to earn that. We earned it through our empathy and just being genuine. And that kind of change in core belief can do a lot for someone's self-esteem, but also just how they view other people's intentions for them. What a beautiful moment this was. And I think it's like now especially time that like we want Kim back in our life because he is our other anchor. We have the sword and we have Kim, who are the two pieces of evidence in our life that tell us we are worth something to someone for as limited amount of time as we may mean something to them. It's still something that we can trust was real while we had it. So, it's time to go to bed. And I think we can do that... Was it? It must have been here, right? Is this... Lilienne's house? Okay, yeah, that's Lilienne's house. Is it this one?
The door has seen better days. The layer of paint has started to peel off due to the salt and wind from the sea. Even the lock looks slightly rusted.
Let's unlock the shack. The waves, the sea, a church. Old science fiction magazines, books about birdwatching, and an almanac from 39. This intricate heat engine hums quietly, giving out pleasant warmth. And this is another thing that is a challenge to our core belief, which is that, like, you know, we... Not only is it hard to trust most people, but especially strangers. Like, the fact that someone just like let us stay here, that they gave us our own place to be in, like, I feel like that is a window into some of this, in this like gratitude for simple things that it seems like almost everyone on this side of the waterlock has about things, between Lilienne and the fisherwoman or the washerwoman. And especially Lilienne's kids, who are finding like ways to be grateful and enjoy simple things despite the state of the world around them. What have we got here?
On the table, you see a bowl of water, a rough soap, and next to it, a small hand mirror. A straight razor soaks inside the wash basin.
Ah, shaving, eh?
The water reflects back a vague image of your face. Nose bulbous and red, hair unkempt, wrinkles lining the eyes and forehead. The stash is gigantic. You'll be looking like a pansy without the chops. A fucking pansy. A fresh start looms ahead. Clean yourself up and be born anew.
I kind of feel like shaving. I kind of feel like a symbolic gesture to the changing of our core beliefs is appropriate. Especially when we struggled for so long just to even look ourselves in the mirror. I think that at that time we were learning to be accepting of who we are. But acceptance is one thing, and learning to be possessive of who we are is another. To be possessive of the core beliefs we've developed and the new relationships we've established and this drive we have to not only solve the case, but to heal the youth and do all these other things. Like, I feel like a lot of that stuff has made us not only like accept and be okay with who we are, but has made us like who we are in some respects. I mean, that's part of the reason why we're staying sober, is we're crossing that threshold of actually being okay with the person that we are most of the time. I wonder if we'll actually even be able to succeed at it. Let's do it. Let's chop them off.
Like an artist with a brush or a master
There we go.
swordsman.
There we go,
Use
Harry.
the small mirror and the straight razor with some soap to remove all that unkempt hair from below the nose line. The sharp blade chafes against your skin, producing a scratching sound. The surface underneath the beard feels tender, the air brushing against it chilly.
Feel your clean-shaven cheeks.
They feel so smooth, surprisingly so.
Healed
A
us.
feeling of freshness overcomes you, as if you just came from a cold bath.
Was shaving the red calm.
The water reflects back a vague image of your clean-shaven face. Despite the bulbous nose, unkempt hair, and persistent swelling, you look a little younger, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like looking in the mirror was our first step into like, I'm okay recognizing that this is me. I don't like what I see, but I'm okay with it. But this is the first action we've taken to like really taking care of ourselves, and it signals an investment in our appearance, and not just for ourselves, but how we appear and present to other people. We have become someone who wants to be presentable and be someone to be around. And all of that is like the markers of someone coming out of depression, is getting over that hump of like, well, why do this? What's the point? It's just going to grow back again anyways. I still look like shit underneath it. Like, when your mind is in that state, there's still a lot more work to be done on the core belief side. Now that some of our core beliefs are starting to change, though, those justifications start to fall away. And instead we have new ones, which are more like relatable to bettering ourselves. This is a decision that I am making intentionally to present myself better, to feel better, and to not deny or hide from who I am anymore. And all of those things could be quite the inner victory for someone coming out of depression. Even if it's just symbolic to begin with, that sense of control and ownership and possession over your developing qualities is really important for change.
You almost look like a professional.
Yeah.
The beardless nature of your cheeks makes the expression seem even more like a terrifying grimace.
Shush. We like it. We like it clean. What else we got here?
An old mirror hangs on the wall. You see your reflection in it. The expression fixed to your clean-shaven face. You're still not accustomed to it.
Interesting. So we can actually change the expression. And we get a positive buff. And knowing the origin. Let's see if we can... Is there anything that I get electrochemistry from? Is there any way to see these, like... Okay. Let's see what we got here. Pop some of those pants on. This will also give us electrochemistry. And threshold. Ooh. This will help. It just looks so ridiculous. I think we're gonna do it. I think we're gonna get rid of the expression. Okay. Guess there's nothing else. Let's see what we got.
An old mirror hangs on the wall. You see your reflection in it. The expression fixed to your clean-shaven face. You're still not accustomed to it.
Let's roll the dice.
Still not happening. It won't come off that easy.
Damn it. We need a point in electrochemistry. Okay. We'll have to come back to this. This looks so ridiculous at this point. It's like in like when I'm playing other games where you have stats and stuff. It's like the choice between like how you look and how the stats add up. And this game is making that even funnier than normal. Like that this is our character maxed out on an electrochemistry build. Like it just looks goofy as hell. I don't think there was anything that was negatively affecting our electrochemistry. Okay. We'll have to come back to it. For now, we'll just go to sleep. Ooh, we've got a jacket. We've got a logic jacket. I mean, it's pretty cool. It's pretty damn cool. I like it. Okay. It's time for us to wind down.
The bed is comforting, if a bit run down. Still, you've earned a rest.
Okay. It's time to go to sleep.